Hey King, just want to make a quick video on how I put on my timing chain cover, because I didn't see any good videos on this. Everyone would take them off, but then once it came to this part, nothing. So I got all thread and I put all the holes in there for the gasket so that would hold the gasket in place. And then I put gasket sealer on both sides of the gasket, just a little thin layer, nothing too much. And I'm going to put this guy right over it. I also removed the oil pan, make it easier to get on, because I could not get this thing to go on without scrunching up the gasket at the very ends. So oil pan came off. You could probably do this with the oil pan on, but I didn't. It went way better. And besides, if you're already this far in, just do the rear main seal anyway. So when I was talking about how I took the oil pump off because I couldn't get the seal to fit around the water pump, this is what I'm talking about here. So you got this whole fit in here. I was just having such a pain in the ass. I think it was because I didn't oil it, and they were calling to oil it. I thought they meant the crankshaft seals what I had to oil. So yeah, you probably should put the oil pan on probably first thing, honestly. But yeah, I took mine off. You should probably not and just do it like how the manual says. But hey, it worked for me. It'll work for you. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Don't forget to lube up the seal. So the way I'm getting this vibration dampener, harmonic balancer, whatever, the way I'm getting this thing back on is I got my 1.25" socket, and first before I got the socket on, I put it on. It only gets on just a little started. Probably would be a good idea to heat up this thing before you put the gasket on. Well, hey, now I know. But anyways, you put this on, it kind of just barely can get started, and I just used a nice little hammer, just light touches, just giving it a kiss. Putting it in, making sure that where this mates in with the crankshaft, that there was no burrs or anything. There actually was a couple, so be careful about that. And that's how I'm putting in this, using this guy. And my crankshaft only had like a thread to start off with, so I was really careful. So when I was first putting this on, I would check the threads a lot because I really didn't want to break this thing. But as far as I can tell, that's how it's supposed to go on. So, hope that helps. Yeah, my harmonic dampener actually had a little bit of damage from the seal. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, but there's a reason why they sell those little seal kits for your timing cover. It's because the seal can actually chew away the metal on the harmonic dampener. And then you get no seal, and for whatever reason, the pulley system that was on my harmonic dampener was like beat up. Same thing with the harmonic dampener. I have no idea why. Even the crankshaft has little signs of damage. I'll just show you real quick what I'm talking about. There it is. Ooh, there it is. There's this little, there's a worn out part. It's hard to tell. It's only like a millimeter or two. Is it worse on the other side? It's pretty uniform. It's not bad, but there's like a millimeter. See that little shiny part? It's like a millimeter ingressed, and well, if you want to leak the rest of your life, install that back in. But if you don't, they make a seal kit, or they make like a little bushing you put over it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I also had bumps on this side. I can't even really show it because it's so tiny, but part of my lip here was dented in. Yeah, part of my lip here was dented in, so that sucked. And that meant that when I put on this guy, which was my original one, I put this guy over it right here. I noticed that it wasn't all smooth all the way around. Also weird that it has an X mark on it. Like, was this a used one before? But either way, when I would put it over, I would match these up. It was pretty clear, if I can show you or not here, but it was pretty clear that the width from here to here was off, right? It's not just like an optical illusion. It was literally off. So no wonder why my stuff was always wobbling so much, because when this was assembled, it was off a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but in case it does, now you know. They don't really sell these things, by the way, but carpart.com eventually got me one. Alright, so if you're anything like me, you had absolutely no idea how to remove, or how to torque down this vibration dampener, right? So I went to the parts store. Come on. Went to the parts store and grabbed this stupid thing, which now won't come off. Come on. Anything for the views. I bought this guy from the parts store. There's the part number on it, I think. GM. What the kind of stupid part number? Either way, you get the point. I bought this thing from the local parts store, and it didn't quite fit very well. Oh, and it has these two little pegs, right? And these two pegs go into these things right here, right? And then it gives you something to put your breaker bar on, so it doesn't. So you can hold it in place. So, but in order to get this thing to fit in there, I had to grind away the edges a little bit on both sides, maybe like a 1/16 of an inch, and then they'd actually go on and fit in. Right? And then once this thing's in all the way, and I'm not gonna put it all the way because I made it a little tight, but grab this, put your breaker bar on, grab this, grab this, and hey, now you're ready to go to work. Good luck, hope this helps. Alright, so for this thing, it looks like it was about 4 inches. This thing's about 4 inches by 6 inches, little 2-inch gap right there. So yeah, this is available at any parts store. I think I might at Napa. Alright, next step is to put on this guy. Put on this guy right here. Yes, this is a junkyard part. They don't really make these anymore. These 6 little bolts right here is what they use. 1/2 inch, by the way. Torque these bolts to 200 inch-pounds. Then the manual says to put in the timing cover bolts. Okay. So as far as I can tell, the only 2 bolts that aren't really going to ever get affected when you put this thing in, the power steering pump, the alternator, or coolant, whatever, the AC, is these 2. First one is this guy, and he is a, if you're like me, you didn't organize anything, it's a 3-inch bolt. I'm supposed to say 3 there. Originally came with this bolt right here, but I think that was an aftermarket one. I wasn't really sure, so I bought this one. It's a little bit longer, and it doesn't bottom out against the engine, so it's good enough for me. So there's this bracket right here, and well, that has to go on. So when you put on this bolt, I have no idea where the hell the original bolt was, but this, oh my gosh, this 3-inch bolt with about 1 inch worth of washers seems to fit just fine, and it won't bottom out. Tested with all thread for consistency. Good luck. Once you're done putting the timing chain cover gasket on, the timing chain cover, I used these all threads to slide it in, and then once you put in these guys, first one is this. The reason why this brass one goes in first is because the water pump hose outlet will hit it right here, so you cannot torque this guy down after you put on the water pump. Note to self, make all thread the same length. Next is the water pump. How the fuck you going? There we go. All right, there we go. Up next is this guy. Up next is the water pump. Oh man. There we go. All right, next goes in this thing. By the way, there should be 3 identical bolts as far as I can tell, unless this one is not needed, but they're the same length as these 2. That third one goes where I have that gold one at now, which, by the way, torque down before you put it on, because as you can see, you will not be able to reach it once you put the water pump on. But either way, these 2, that one, we get this one because it has no washer, because if you put a washer on this, it literally won't fit. Lol, dodge. Okay. And but yeah, you put these 2 on, goes like this. So this circle thing, you can look at the timing. Oh, these bolts are 3 inches. Yeah, they're about 3 inches. You see those 2 bolts? Boom. Uh-oh. That's where this thing does. He just kind of somehow works with the timing. I don't really understand it very well, but that's how it goes. These 2 right here. Tighten these down to 30 foot-pounds. This is the next bolt that goes on, about 2 inches. Originally, it wouldn't have had a flex, this flange nut on it, but I like those, so I put it on mine. The original one was a little bit thinner. I just made this one have a few threads poke out of there just because I'm not really sure if it was the right one or not. Or I just thought it was the right one, so hey, better be safe than sorry, right? Oh, or get one to fit. If that's too much to ask for. That's where it goes, right in the middle. These bolts get torqued down to 30 foot-pounds, by the way. And they feel like they go in. There we go. They just keep cranking forever. All right, boys, this is how I'm pretty sure the power steering goes on. So you got this front bracket right here, goes in this way. The little part that sticks up goes underneath. I am embarrassed how long this took me to figure this thing out. See this piece right here? Little thing you use to help tension the belt and power steering fluid. I was trying to figure out which of these 2 holes it fits forever, or if it was the other style. But this one was going in the air pump, I'm pretty sure. This whole time went in, boop, just like that. Wow, I wonder if there's 2 holes for a reason. Now you know, boys. Now you know. Let's see. Let's just try it out. All right. All right, so this amazing bracket that I love, yeah, goes in like that. This guy goes in the back. All right, you see, top bolt, bottom bolt. Don't use this. This guy goes to the air pump for the brakes. I think it's like 21 foot-pounds. All right. Apparently, this bolt right here and where this bolt's going to go, they match up too perfectly with these 2 holes. So we got to take this bolt out. That's why there's no washer on one, probably because of that stinking thing. I'll be back. Alright, so apparently you can't just put that on, because then the rear ones are blocked. You can't touch them. So the rear ones go on first. There are these stupid ass fucking bolts right here, 1.5 inches. You'll figure it out. Torque to 30. Dodge really gave me the exact room I needed. Come on. But it fits. You need a long head for the bottom one, by the way. Alright, this is the next bolt that goes in. I only remember this one goes in because it was rusty coming out, and sure enough, it's going to be rusty coming in. So it looks like the thread length, or the bolt part itself, is just over, or just under, it's just about 6 inches. Wherever you want to measure it from, about 6-inch bolt. Goes in right here. I just torqued this one. I'll torque this one down soon too, but make sure to put in the lube. The all thread. Guess what, boys? I got it in. Only took forever. But just a quick recap. First, I put on timing cover gasket. Then I put on the timing cover. I use all those all threads to kind of figure out where the hell it even goes. Then I put on the vibration dampener and the vibration, I guess it's just crankshaft pulley, right? And then I put in this fucking guy. This yellow bolt. Probably won't be yellow on yours. And this guy, which is totally OEM spec. So those 2 bolts can go in. And then the power steering pump was next. Although, frankly, I think you can put this on with the power steering pump even before you do the vibration dampener. I couldn't see a reason why the rear one couldn't go on. I don't even think the rear one... Well, either way, you can put the rear one on after you put the timing cover on. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but that's what it felt like. There's 2 fucking bolts right there. Well, there's 2 of them. Just do you believe? There he is. Fucking guy. So anyways, I got it right here. It doesn't matter. So, once those bolts are on, once the rear and the other ones are, once those bolts are on, the next thing to go on is water pump gasket, then the water pump. Don't use lube on the timing cover. It takes way too fucking long to put everything on. I'm not using lube next time. But either way, hopefully that's not going to break shit. So this guy goes on, snug, and then that stupid ass bracket that looks like that, that thing goes on. This bolt goes on, right? And then install this stupid ass thing. Front bracket to the pump. This guy goes on first. Just still loose, but and there's a bottom hole down here. Get that one on. Then you can put these 2 dinkle dicks on. And yeah, now that'll work. Wow, awesome. Alright, hopefully it gets easier, boys. Alright, bucko. Next thing that goes on is the air pump. Yeah. Well, guess what? In a shocking surprise, the 2 bolts that bolt onto the air pump to the water pump are right here, and I already put my bolt through, so oops. So we'll get working on that, taking that bolt out, and then that bolt. So don't put this bolt on so fast. Calm down. Yeah. See how that goes. So this air pump has bolt in it, right there, and this one actually gets the 1 nut that's used in this assembly, and that nut will go right there in that hole right there. Goes behind it. It's kind of a pain to get to it. I think it's a 9/16 wrench, but yeah, that's how it goes on. Good enough. All right. Almost forgot something here. So this guy goes in right here between those 2 bolt holes. Come on. Those 2 bolt holes. Goes in this direction with the little bottom piece sticking out. You'll know it only really fits in good one way. The other way looks kind of cockeyed. Goes underneath this plate. Kick your ass. The two bolts you use to hold the air pump into the water pump are both your longest bolts you have. This one and this one, the longest bolts you have. And that is about 6 inches. Boop. Alright, so this nut and bolt right here are the first of the commies. It's actually 15 millimeter, not a 9/16. Do not tighten this bolt down until you got the belt on, because you can't move this thing if this bolt's tightened down. The last metric bolt that I know of goes in right here. Come on. Ooh, how? Oh, actually I lied. So it actually goes through the back end here. Boop. And then this weird looking nut, which actually says M10 on it, which is kind of cool. Either way, this thing goes like so. Oh, wait, we're forgetting something. Alright, he goes on like this, I think. Yep. That's how you adjust the belt tension, I think. I actually like that. That's pretty clever how they did that. Alright. Give it a couple of snuggins so it would fall off on me. You'd be surprised how hard it is to get a camera angle working on this thing. And a little more. Is that my baby? Cat? Oh, you scared me.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, is that random? So, whoa. Oh, you can't even see me. All right, so I don't think the alternator goes in next. I'm pretty sure it's his bracket. Yeah, and as far as I can tell, goes on like this. And oh, what do we have here? Yeah, oops. So we're removing that bolt. We'll be right back. All right, this is completely hunched, but I'm using the last of my basically 6-inch long bolts, 5.5-inch long bolts, to go where I had this all thread the whole time with Loctite or thread sealant. All right, so I'm putting this thing on. Got my bolt back. Put these two in here. They're still loose. I put that. Oh, there's another one. Alright, so when you're putting the front alternator bracket on, all of the bolts that go onto your AC compressor are little tiny heads. I assume that's because they want to make sure they can go through here. I don't really know. And don't forget the two down here. So when you're putting in those 3 little bolts for the air compressor, keep in mind that the air compressor itself, can't really do it too much now, but it has about 1/16 of an inch of play up, down, side to side. Not this, but the actual main thing itself. I tightened the bolts down so you can't really see it. But if these 3 bolts don't fit in. Wobble AC compressor, you'll get them in. So believe it or not, it says to tighten these 3 bolts to 50 foot-pounds. What? That's crazy. I'm doing 30. But, just so you know, ended up doing 40 foot-pounds for all these bolts. So it looks like there's more mounting bolts than just the AC compressor. That one, these 2. Yeah, you got the water pump bolts, these 3. But then you got this guy. There he goes, just kind of in between everything. All right, fine. A little spacer with that. I hooked up the alternator too, just real loosely. All right, just real loosely. That's how the bolt goes through, like that. Got the bottom one there, but this guy, oh my gosh, he was such a pain in the butt. Could barely get him on. I actually had to ratchet strap it from there all the way here to get the bolt to move into place. It's probably because I got a Chinese timing cover or something, but you should know, good luck, Kings. Hope that doesn't happen to you. All right. Looks like I forgot something. Oops. Where does this bracket go? Well, as far as I can tell, this bracket goes... The bolt side, the nut side, goes against this. And then, do you see that big... that big bolt that has that huge piece of pipe on it? That's where this side goes. So I tried to loosen that bolt, but since I already torqued it down, I actually bent this metal bracket. I bent this metal bracket in a little bit. So now it doesn't really want to move. I'm not going to loosen up everything for this one thing. I don't care that bad. But basically, it's like this thing goes in like this, and it would go in. So that's where it would go in, just like that, over that bolt hole. It holds the engine oil dipstick in place. I'm not putting it in because I don't care that bad, but that's where it would go. All right, next is to put on the water pump pulley. I don't know why it's so dark, but whatever. You get the point. Oh, it's my headlight. So the next thing to do is to put the water pump pulley back on. By the way, when you're putting on this pulley right here, check the inside of it before we put it on, where this groove runs. Check the inside of this. I found like a pound of sand, dirt, and dust in there. Probably not good for when it's spinning all the time. All right, these bolts don't tighten down. Those 4 right there. I'm guessing they tighten down once I put all the pulleys back on. So let's get after that. All right, so I'm cranking over the engine one last time. Figured it'd be a pretty good time before I actually put everything back in. Probably should have done it before I put the fan on, but whatever. I'm just cranking it over. I did it twice. I cranked over the engine, either the crankshaft twice, 2 evolutions, just to make sure into the timing gear. I'm not going to break anything. If it stops, you should stop. Good luck, Kings. When I'm doing the power steering pump, I got those 2 bolt holes aligned. The bolts, you put your big boy, goes here, and you apply the torqueys. And this thing don't got a lot of room, so yeah, that's how you do it. The rest of this is just me trying to figure out where the fuck the original mark was. Alright, now I'm going to the air pump. I just did the power steering. They say that bolt right there, this fucking guy. That bolt right there. Just get the fuck out of him. So there we go. Alright, so they say that bolt right there, along with the pivot bolt down there, these are torqued to 40 foot-pounds. I got like 30 in this little bolt. Started stripping out, left righty-loosey. Dodge. Suck my balls. Well, there you go. probably put in the wrong bolt. Either way, they can suck my balls fucking making dumb shit all the time. But either way, the next bolt one to do is the air pump. Alright, so I'm still doing the pulley belts on the truck. Do not do the air pump or the power steering pump first, or you will not be able to get on your alternator and your air pump or AC compressor. Do these first. The smallest, well, the two biggest belts go on the alternator and the AC compressor. Then the medium belt goes on the air pump, and the very smallest belt will go on the power steering. Alright, well, it looks like somebody over torqued a certain bolt. Apparently, Unga Dungas was not the answer. Alright, here goes the new bolt. Definitely threads in, that's a good sign. If I do say so myself. It fits. That's a good sign too. Oh, such a good feeling. Get nice and tight. Come on. Oh, oh yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that was going to take weeks to fix. Oh, so nice. Alright, we'll torque it to 25 foot-pounds, because why not? Oh, it's already so tight, though. Wow, that's crazy. Looks like that's good enough. That's totally good enough. I'm not breaking this again. That's fine. That will be fine. And just like that. Oh, yeah. Alright, so after we got the pivot bolt, or I should say the belt tensioner bolt torqued down, do not torque it down to 40 foot-pounds. I couldn't even get 20. I did just put a helicoil in, so hopefully that'll help. But either way, just, you know, get her half unga dunga. You know the way, boys. Alright. That feels good. Sweet. Now that all the belts are installed, we can get in here and tighten down all these bolts. I hope. Yeah, you're getting good and tight now. Make sure to put in your fan shroud, your coolant fan shroud in first, and then you put in the fan. The shroud will not fit with the fan in the way. So this is what I ended up using to pressure test and check for leaks on my coolant system, and it turns out that it doesn't leak anymore. Yeah, amazing. I'm not really putting the pressure on, but I was holding it at about 15, 16, and it was moving down like maybe 1 psi every hour, so that's good enough for me. And according to the manual, that's good enough. Also, a little word to the wise. See these oil cooler lines? Yeah, there you go. See all the JB Weld, that didn't hold up. Oops. Well, there is, I hit these a lot while I was installing my engine and everything. And, yeah, well, don't hit them too much or they'll break. LMC Truck does sell a kit for them, but, you know, or you could just not break them. The LMC Truck kit only goes for the 727 transmission. I have the A518 transmission. This is a 91. I think the 89s in prior first gen had the 727, whereas the 90, 91, 92, 93, they had the A518, which is basically a 727 transmission with an overdrive unit attached. I'll let you know if those brake lines work, but that's a video for another day. Good luck, Kings. Here's what I ended up doing to fix that leaky transmission coolant line. So this was the part that was bad. Cut it off with a little mini pipe cutter, and I put some hose over it. I think it's 3/8 hose. Now, ideally, I would have just replaced this whole section here with hose, but when I was at the store, I wasn't really thinking. I just got a foot of hose. Eventually, I'll put stainless steel line in here, but for right now, that will be just fine. Good luck, Kings. Alright, so it's been a couple weeks, and I found out a couple things. So, you see that bolt, the one I said that got stripped out at 30 foot-pounds or whatever the torque spec's supposed to be. Turns out the bolt that was supposed to go in there was a metric bolt, whereas I originally used a imperial bolt. Turns out the one I used was off of the engine bracket or the transmission bracket, that's by the oil pan. So, oops, it's a metric bolt. I'm not really too sure which one it is anymore, but yeah, don't put an SAE bolt in there. It's kind of confusing. Here are either metric or imperial. It looks like all of the bolts that attach the accessories is metric, but all the bolts that secure the mounting brackets to the engine or the timing chain cover or the water pump, and I think even these 4 bolts here, they are all SAE. Speaking of which, the cooling fan, I did put some Loctite on these because I can't really figure out how to torque these down with such little room. So yeah, I'd recommend using some blue Loctite on that.